Happy Thursday afternoon from Austin, Texas this time. I know I was in Nashville a couple days ago. Now I'm in Austin enjoying my summer. It's July 1st already, and we're in the aftermath of the state of the franchise. So the 94 throwback uniforms are officially back, and that's what everybody's really excited about right now. So that's what we're going to talk about today because it's just such a fascinating history that I don't think is really fully known or fully understood. The 49ers, this is going to be Inception style. It's going to be a throwback to a throwback. The 94 throwbacks, which we see here with the article from me and Matt Barrows on The Athletic, are actually throwbacks to the 49ers 1955 uniforms worn by the famous $1 million backfield. So in 1994, the 49ers, with the support of the NFL, because it was the league's 75th anniversary, decided to wear throwback uniforms. They won a whole heck of a lot of important games in those throwback uniforms, and there was a lot of superstition involved behind the fact and behind the chance to win a whole lot of games in those uniforms. So they became mythical in status in that 94 season, which is the last time the 49ers won a Super Bowl. And then, 27 years later, here in 2021, the 49ers are celebrating their own 75th anniversary. So they're bringing those throwbacks back again. So I think this might be the first time in NFL history that we have a throwback to a throwback as the 49ers uniform for 4 games at home in the 2021 season and 2 games on the road, when the 49ers will wear the all-white throwbacks, which we already knew about. We already have seen since 2018. So really cool stuff, because this is what the fans really care about, right? They care about uniforms almost more than wins and losses, it seems sometimes. The amount of traffic on Twitter last night was just absolutely crazy to me. The passion that people have for those, block numbers on the uniforms. You go to the article that we wrote, you see the schedule. These are the 6 games, red and white. Make sure to sign up for The Athletic right now. This is the part where I share the link in that comment stream. You're going to get the full history if you read that piece, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about it because I even called up Carmen Policy, who was the former 49ers president back during the glory years of 1994. And there's so many urban legends and myths about the 49ers' first usage of those throwbacks in 1994 that Policy was the perfect person to talk to kind of connect the dots. And the dots literally connect themselves, because guess who was a ball boy for that 1994 49ers team? It was Kyle Shanahan. And that's before I even get into the George Seifert story, which we'll talk about in a second. The highlighting picture from yesterday, that's not Fred Warner, although that one looks good. It's not Jerry Rice, although that one looks good. It's Jerry Rice. Oh, it's not in here. Jerry Rice and Jimmy Garoppolo. That one's on Twitter. Jerry Rice and Jimmy Garoppolo right here. Here we go. Open this one up. So there's past and present combined. And Jerry Rice, he's going to be 59 years old this season. And he looks literally like somebody the 49ers should sign to be their number 3 wide receiver, might even make the 53-man roster. Isn't that crazy? Jimmy Garoppolo is about 30, and Jerry Rice, who's about 59. And obviously Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't look bad at all, but Jerry Rice just doesn't look like he's 59. One issue that I have with what Jimmy Garoppolo is doing with the uniform, and what all the other 49ers models did for the uniform, is that they're all white pants. Jerry Rice, the only one that got it right. He has the partially red socks with the uniforms. If you look at the way the Niners actually wore it in 1994, they had the red socks. So Jerry is the only one that actually has experience with this. So he came here where my cursor is outlining his partially red socks. Between now and September 26th, when the 49ers first wear these uniforms in a game, hopefully Jimmy Garoppolo and the rest of the players figure out the red socks. Anyway, let's go to the history. Let's go to the $1 million backfield first. This is, one of the legendary staples of 49ers history that nobody ever talks about, because a lot of people, a lot of the casuals, I guess we can say, believe that the franchise's history started in 1981 with their first Super Bowl. That, however, is not the case. The franchise's history started much sooner than that, in the 1940s at Kezar Stadium in San Francisco with the $1 million backfield. And the reason it was called that is because the salaries of these 4 players in the backfield, the quarterback and 3 running backs, added up to $1 million or over $1 million per season, which might seem silly now, but it was crazy back then, before a lot of inflation happened and before salaries in the NFL went up. So you had Y.A. Tittle, quarterback Y.A. Tittle, Hugh McElhaney, Joe Henry Johnson, and Joe the Jet Perry, left to right. I could show you the Wikipedia page for all four of those guys. That was the $1 million backfield. What did the $1 million backfield wear in 1955? They wore these uniforms. There's Y.A. Tittle, McElhaney running the ball. You could obviously see exactly what the 49ers are wearing now. You see the red jerseys, you see the block numbers, and you see the abbreviated pant stripe with the white pants, and of course, the red socks, which the 49ers, maybe they just didn't have that shipped to them yet, but the red socks are a key part of the jersey. So this is exactly what the 49ers are replicating, with one notable exception, and you'll see it now. In 1955, the 49ers wore red helmets. So fast forward now to the 1994 season, when the NFL was going through its 75th anniversary. In weeks 3 and 4, the NFL designated time for teams to wear throwback uniforms to honor the anniversary. They gave every team a choice of what throwback uniform they would like to wear. The 49ers, because of the history of the $1 million backfield, chose those 1955 uniforms. In week 3, they played the Rams, and that was the first week of the throwbacks, and the Rams decided to wear their 1951 uniforms. So you ended up having the Rams in this bright yellow and the 49ers in their 1955 red, playing at Anaheim Stadium, where the Angels currently play, which back in the day, before they tore down the outfield seats, actually looked a little bit like a mini Candlestick Park. The outfield seats would retract and come in for football and go back out for baseball to clear room for the outfield. And it was built slightly later than Candlestick, so I think a lot of what they did with that old Anaheim Stadium before renovating it into what it is today made it really a descendant of Candlestick Park. I say that because the 49ers felt that Anaheim Stadium was a home away from home. The 49ers, when their starting quarterback was healthy in the Joe Montana and Steve Young era, 1980 to 1994, never lost in Anaheim Stadium. Their final game at Anaheim Stadium was against the Rams, and was the first time that they wore these 1955 throwback uniforms. Of course, they destroyed the Rams. It was 1994, so the Rams didn't have a chance. It was also the first game that Deion Sanders played for the 49ers in 1994, because he was playing baseball for the Cincinnati Reds, and he joined the team late. Now, here's where the superstition comes in. The week prior, before Deion had joined the team, the 49ers lost to Joe Montana and the Kansas City Chiefs wearing their usual uniforms on the road. 24-17, I believe, was the score. So Deion joins, 49ers go throwback, they kill the Rams. Next week, week 4, 49ers win a tight game against the New Orleans Saints. They actually debuted these throwback uniforms for the home fans at Candlestick Park. And the 49ers seal the win when Deion Sanders has a 72-yard pick six against the Saints, who had called the 49ers a Mickey Mouse organization because they were upset that Deion had sided with the 49ers instead for less money. And the 49ers at Candlestick played the Mickey Mouse theme song over the speakers. So the 49ers win their 2 allotted games with the uniform that you see on the screen there that Jimmy Garoppolo is modeling for us. They go back-to-back in weeks 3 and 4 after they had lost without the uniforms in week 2. In week 5, the 49ers return to the old gold pants and the standard uniform, and they get their asses completely kicked by the Philadelphia Eagles at Candlestick Park. That's an infamous game because it's still one of the most shocking blowouts in NFL history. The 94 49ers are obviously considered one of the greatest, if not the most talented team in NFL history, and they lost by 32 points at home to an Eagles team that was good. Randall Cunningham was the quarterback, but obviously the 94 49ers shouldn't lose to anybody by 32 points. You can make the argument they shouldn't lose to anybody at all with Deion and Steve Young and Ricky Waters and Jerry Rice. And I mean, so many future Hall of Famers and all pros on their roster. But they did lose by 32. Steve Young did yell at George Seifert on the sideline. It was a complete meltdown at Candlestick. It just wasn't good. And it didn't look like that team was headed towards Super Bowl contention when it took that kind of loss in that game. So George Seifert, the very superstitious head coach of the 49ers, decided that he wanted to go back to the uniforms the 49ers had worn in weeks 3 and 4 and won it. In between those two losses, they had found their good luck charm in these throwback uniforms. This is where the fascinating connection and, kind of the linkage comes in. George Seifert was born in San Francisco in 1940. So George Seifert was 15 years old in 1955, growing up in San Francisco, going to high school there, when the 49ers first wore the throwbacks. He went to high school at Polytechnic High School, which was right across the street from this. If you don't recognize this, I'm going to make it big right now. I'm going to make this deserves the full screen. This is Kezar Stadium. It's in the corner of Golden Gate Park. It's where the 49ers used to play. After the 1989 earthquake, Kezar Stadium was downsized, so now it hosts some high school games, and you can go run around the track. It's a city park now. But before it was downsized, it was actually a 55,000-seat stadium that, I wish I was alive then to check it out. To me, it looks like the Wrigley Field of football. There are fans, as you can see, sitting on the rooftops of these old Victorian and Edwardian buildings in San Francisco, watching the 49ers play sometime around 1955, and Kezar is packed out. There you see a good portion of that crowd that was 55,000 people big. George Seifert went to high school on this street. You see that street right behind the stadium? That's where George Seifert went to Polytechnic High School. So he was so close. Seifert was actually a popcorn vendor and an usher at 49ers games in 1955. So he developed a nostalgic connection to those uniforms. Okay, so 15-year-old George Seifert, 1955, develops nostalgic connection to uniforms. Fast forward to 1994 when the 49ers bring those uniforms back. That Eagles game where the 49ers just got their asses kicked, again, 40-8 in week 5, Kyle Shanahan was up in the upper deck of Candlestick watching the game because his dad, Mike Shanahan, was the offensive coordinator for the 49ers. And guess how old Kyle Shanahan was? He was 15 years old. Kyle has joked that he didn't really have good memories of that game as the 49ers lost 32-0 because the fans around him were all talking crap about the offensive coordinator or whoever's calling plays, and that was his dad. Over the course of that 1994 season, Kyle Shanahan, just like so many of you watching right now, developed a fixation with the red and white 94 throwbacks of the 49ers wore because they did so much winning in those jerseys that Kyle really liked the Deion Sanders jersey. I believe he even had one when he was a 15-year-old and a ball boy for some of those games of that 1994 team. So just like Kyle Shanahan loved the 49ers jerseys from 1994 because he was a 15-year-old at the time, George Seifert, who was the 49ers head coach and Mike Shanahan's boss in 1994, loved the jerseys because he grew up with them as a 15-year-old selling popcorn at Kezar Stadium, which you see on your screen right there. So that's the long story of why George Seifert loved these uniforms. And he was also superstitious. So after they took the beat down from the Eagles, George Seifert said, hey, we need to put the old school uniforms back on again. And he goes up to Carmen Policy's office, the team president at the time, and he says, we're just going to wear them, and we'll see what the league says. Hopefully you guys can take care of the fine if the league fines us, but we need to win. We have this roster. We can't go on losing by 32 points to the Eagles every single week. So the 49ers put on the all whites. They go back and they break league policy. They put on the all whites. They go to Detroit. They win a thrilling game in comeback fashion, 27-21. And they're like, okay, well, we just got to keep on wearing these uniforms. We have to keep on wearing the throwbacks. And the next week they go to Atlanta and they win 42-3. And at that point, it's like, okay, we're just going to wear this until the league literally forces us to stop wearing them. Carmen Policy works behind the scenes. He tells the league, this is good for you too. You're celebrating your 75th anniversary. let us continue wearing these uniforms. And that is exactly what happened. The league did let the 49ers continue wearing those uniforms all the way through the playoffs and the Super Bowl, which they won against the San Diego Chargers. In all, when the 49ers wore those red uniforms, the white pants and gold helmets throughout that season and throughout the playoffs, they posted an 11-0 record. They're perfect. They did not lose in those uniforms. So technically, the 1955 throwbacks paired with a gold helmet and not a red helmet, the 49ers are undefeated in those, and they'll put that to the test here in the 2021 season. That includes the win over Dallas in the NFC title game, the most star-studded football game of all time, and of course the Super Bowl in Miami. And there's an urban legend that Eddie DeBartolo Jr. just paid the fines as they came. There were no fines, so it might sound cooler if he had done that, but I think the history is cool nonetheless. So hey, any questions about the uniforms right now? Let's get to them. Any questions about what happened to the 49ers today? We can get to them, and we will sign off because I'm in Austin and I'm going to a soccer game tonight, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It starts in about an hour and 15 minutes. Jersey is wearing solid red socks. Oh, Jerry's wearing solid red socks. Yeah, here, I'm going to put the questions up like I usually do. Yeah, Jerry's wearing solid red. It's kind of striped because it is solid red, but then below the red, there's more white. Yes, I would prefer striped, and there's still some time before September 26th to get that done. Hopefully you guys like the story. How come Trent Williams and Nick Bosa aren't in any team photos and promo stuff? Well, I do know that Nick Bosa is still rehabbing and getting ready for training camp, and he prefers to do a lot of that out in Florida where he has a lot of his stuff set up. So that might be a reason he probably didn't make it back in the photo shoot. What I do think is significant is that the 49ers made Jimmy Garoppolo the headlining model. He's photographed more often, just as often as Jerry Rice for these photos. So you don't do that when you're planning to sell a lot of these jerseys unless you plan to see a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo in the jerseys. So, if there's any bit of tea leaf to read or anything there, again, I don't think there's any tea leaves to read. I don't think there's anything tricky about this situation. We've talked about it on other shows. You have Garoppolo as the QB1 right now, Trey Lance developing as the QB2. 49ers love the situation that they're at. Fred is obviously an exceptional player, but it feels like they're really starting to market him as a star now. And yeah, Fred Warner's very likely going to be paid a lot of money very soon. So that makes sense. It's funny when you said the 94 Reds are so clean, they got to do with the Red Sox though. When I saw 94 Reds, I'm like, wait, oh yeah, the Deion Sanders 94 Reds, because Deion Sanders played for the 94 Reds, the Cincinnati Reds, before he came and joined the 49ers. In the very first game, they put on the 94 Reds, which are technically the 55 Reds, but still, it was funny that I was confused. Love them, lean more towards the whites, but both are fire. Glad we are wearing whites a couple games. Yeah, 2 games at Tennessee on the 23rd and at Seattle. 49ers wanted those in 2019, final game of the decade. So that was cool for them. Welcome to July. Yeah, July 1st. Fun times. That means that we are now in the month of 49ers training camp. They'll report on July 27th, they'll start practicing on July 31st. So anyway, yeah, thank you all for your comments. Hopefully you liked it. Again, I'm going to I'm going to share this one more time. Subscribe to The Athletic. I mean, this is the most in-depth story, and I put the link there, but here it is. Again, you can click on it in the comment section. This is the most in-depth story about the uniform history. Talked to Carmen Policy about it. You have that Shanahan connection when he's 15, George Seifert when he was 15. And that's what makes this fun. That's what makes football cool. It's the tradition. It's the history. I mean, that's why those people watching this are probably 49ers fans as opposed to Jacksonville Jaguars fans. There is much, much more history. All right. Let's call it a day for now. If there are any more questions, we do have to address the fines. I need to know more about this situation because we don't know why. I'm going to close the Jimmy Garoppolo in the background too. We don't know why the 49ers were fined today. We already know that they were punished, and there wasn't much of a punishment at all, for Deommodore Lenoir in rookie minicamp and his illegal press coverage, which wasn't allowed in minicamp. 49ers were very nominally punished. They said they had to end their rookie program early. They're going to end it early anyway. They were well within the limit there. So nothing actually came of that. But today we found out that the 49ers were fined $100,000 and Kyle Shanahan was fined $50,000 personally for violations of the health and safety protocols during OTAs. Now, I've sent out a few messages. I can't find out what the exact violations were, but I do know that they were separate from the Lenore situation in rookie minicamp. So until I know more, I can't really say anymore. I just know that the 49ers were fine. And it's interesting because Kyle Shanahan said they cut OTAs of practice short because of the injuries and they didn't want guys to get hurt after Justin School and Tarvarius Moore got hurt. But the Adam Schefter report said that part of the 49ers punishment was the NFL said they had to end OTAs a week early. So did they really end OTAs because of injuries, or did they end OTAs early because the NFL forced them to because of this violation, of which we don't know the details yet? That's all I know. I think it's irresponsible to speculate until we know why exactly the 49ers were fined. And I want to give the 49ers a chance and Kyle Shanahan a chance to explain what the hell happened in that last week, because he said they closed early because of injuries, but the Schefter report says otherwise. And, and said, he said, she said situation like that. I'm not, I can't figure out what happened in that last week of OTAs. I'm trying to hear out both sides here, and all we have is a tweet from Adam Schefter, and all we have is a quote from Kyle Shanahan that's 3 weeks old at this point. It was said on June 9th. So it's a wait and see situation for me. We'll see what the heck happened. It certainly is confusing, but that's what I think of the fine today. I also think that $50,000 is no small amount for an individual to pay. Even if Kyle Shanahan's making a lot of money, $50K fine, that's a chunk of change right there. So we'll figure it out. All right, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care.